What is up, guys? Coop here, and today we're going to be looking at Divinity Original Sin 2 and fixing some of my old builds that didn't go so hot. So, the one that we're looking at today is my most disliked one on the channel. So, how would I fix the good old Dual Zerker? It right now has 134 likes and 125 dislikes with 30,000 views. So, how would I fix this build? Because, man, this is the build that I messed up the most on. I got really overhyped. I looked at this build that someone did on a YouTube channel, and I kind of made my own little twist on it, and I was so hyped about it, and I made this video, and I was like, man, why does everybody hate this build? This build is the dopest. And it was not. It was not that good. And so, here's the issues with it. It was basically a dual-wielding, strength-based character that had a crap ton of dodge. One of the things that you guys got to keep in mind is dodge is kind of hard to build up. The only ways you could traditionally build up dodge is getting that talent, being a dwarf, and then on top of it just stacking all of your points into dual wield, which gives you 1% dodge. The reason I was so hyped about it was because you could get, if you went lone wolf, you could get total of 4 points into dual wielding. Okay, increasing your damage by 20%, and you would get 4% dodge, plus the 5% from the dwarf, so that's, 9%, then plus the 10% from the talent, so that's a total of 19 altogether. 19%, and then as you level up, of course you could put more and more points, and then by the time you leave Fort Joy, you'll probably roughly be about 30 to 40% dodge. And that's cool, that's great, that's a wonderful build, but you're giving up a lot to get that 40% dodge, especially, it's not a build that's overhyped, and there's better builds out there because you can do the two-hand and heal method, so you can do massive amounts of damage and heal yourself and not die. Yes, you're reducing the amount of damage, but you could rather heal it and figure out different ways of making yourself better. So, doing that build, I looked at it and I was like, okay, what was the class fantasy I had there, and how would I redo it? Well, the class fantasy is basically a dual-wielding strength-based character, and I thought for a really long time. I was like, how would I fix this build? And I figured it out. It took me a hot bit, but I was like, okay, so we want to wear heavy armor, and we want to be dual-wielding. Alright, so the first thing I looked at was, okay, how can I make dual wielding better? Well, one of the things that a lot of people forget is daggers. Daggers automatically crit when behind the target. So, how would I build a build around that? Well, we're not going to be doing as much damage with sort of how just the class works. There's better ones out there. So, I had to figure out a role, specifically some way to make it a better build compared to just to give it some identity. So I figured out, and I was like, okay, how would I do this? Well, I've got to find ways to, 1, get behind the target, 2, travel across the battlefield, and 3, also still make myself useful to the group and not because I can't do what the two-handed warrior can do. So I looked at that and I thought, okay, here's what I did. So assuming that you are wanting to do this, you could do sturdy. You could give yourself more life and more dodge, and then eventually later on get the parry master thing and have about 15% dodge, which is pretty good. That's pretty good, especially a year later on you can get that up to about 20%. And that's really nice because you have a good amount of life, you have that, and you're pretty solid at that point. But another one that I would specifically do is you could also do the good old human character, because they get a bonus initiative and they get 5% crit, giving you a lot more of that extra stuff that you could need. However, I would say Fane is a really good one because he has time warp, so he can allow himself to get up there. You have a way of escaping combat if things get rough, and he does have that nice bonus that you have there. I would not suggest the Red Prince because he doesn't really help much in this scenario. Another one that is really good is Sybil. Her Flesh Sacrifice is a really solid one because once you get across the battlefield, you can use that. You have Corpse Eater as an alternative way of healing, and also to getting spells. It's just, in general, another way of doing it that's really nice. So, assuming I go with Sybil here, let's put a point into Scoundrel again. So I would definitely have a point into Warfare, just so I can do more damage with my physical-based weapons, and also be able to do the role that I'm going to be showing you guys. I'm going to be getting Scoundrel because I want to increase my crit multiplier and my movement speed. We're going to have to be walking around to hit these guys from the back. So, but we're not a finesse-based character. We're going to be focusing on skills that aren't finesse-based. So, for example, there's certain spells in here that are finesse-based. So this one's finesse-based. This one is not finesse-based, and this one is not finesse-based as well. So what I chose was Backlash. Backlash mainly because I'm able to travel across the battlefield and get right behind the target and hit them. And then also I chose Battle Stomp because Battle Stomp is able to hit multiple targets and knock them down if their physical armor is destroyed, which if we're teleporting behind them with dual daggers, we're able to destroy that physical armor real quick, slam on the ground, knock them down, we're good. We also have an alternative way of traveling across the battlefield. Now, some of the things that I would pick up along the way is probably a point into Polymorph. And the reason I would pick up a point into Polymorph is because we can get access to some other goodies out there that can really make our role better. I would choose Bull Rush and Chicken Claw. And on top of that, I would also get Tentacle Lash. Tentacle Lash because we can do the Atrophy status, which basically makes them not have a weapon. We have the Chicken to where we can stun them, and then we have Bull Rush to give us another rush-based ability to one, help us out with traveling across the battlefield and walking right behind the targets and stabbing them, or just in general another knockdown. So that's all really good spells. So you might be seeing where I would go with the Dual Zerker route again. Obviously, we can't do the build that I initially went for. I think it's more important that we focus it as a stun-based hero. Now, this is not going to be one that you would have as your main character. This is going to be definitely a support-based character. This is not something that you main, okay? This is something that you have in your party that's helpful for you. So, basically allowing you the Battle Stomp to stun, Battering Ram to help also have another stun. You have the Chicken to give you, yet again, another stun with the Bull Rush. Yet another stun with the Atrophy thing from Tentacle Lash. So that's 5 abilities that make you really useful. And on top of it, you're running behind them, always critting and hitting them. And what's cool about that is because of you always critting, you can put points into Scoundrel to increase your crit multiplier, to make yourself do more damage, to make it more useful, to allow you to break their physical armor quicker, so that you're able to stun lock them even quicker. If you get, I know that's a lot to take in. I know that's a really annoying amount of saying the same thing over and over and over again. But when you have all the combos and they all kind of line up, it makes it into a really beautiful build. So, on top of that, what would I do talent-wise? Well, Opportunist is always a good one. I think that's another really great one to do. Comeback Hit is great because it allows you to keep your rotation in. And then on top of it, I don't know, Executioner maybe? Executioner is a really good one because we do have that point in Warfare for a reason. So, definitely one I might pick up later on. We aren't going to be doing Guerrilla that much. Sneaking is kind of really hard to do, especially while in combat. This one's not a bad one. Increasing our crit multiplier, but that one's not that important, but the accuracy is very important. Lone Wolf is always a good one. Parry Master, especially because we are a dwarf-based character, that's very helpful. For this, we would just have roughly 10% crit. It's not that big of a deal. Picture of Life will be, or Picture of Health will be really helpful, especially once we start putting more points into Warfare. So basically, that's basically what I would kind of go for here. Anyways, though, I hope you guys do enjoy. I know this was a relatively shorter video, but I really like kind of going back and looking at where I made my mistakes and kind of like how would I fix these builds. I really enjoy that, especially because I have all this knowledge now from playing the game and understanding it a lot more. And especially going forward, I want to correct myself, especially before it's too late. And I want to get back into Divinity Original Sin a little bit more before I actually depart fully from it. So I definitely wanted to make this video and kind of clear up the air and kind of make some cooler, newer videos out there for it. And kind of analyze and figure out what character concepts and how I could build those character concepts into characters that are still useful and still awesome and still can win the game. So, That's important. But anyways, I thank you guys for watching. Now, I am also doing a giveaway. I extended it a couple of days nicely for, basically there were some issues with some different things and yada yada yada. But long story short, I'm going to have it all the way to the end of this month. And it's going to be two $20 Steam cards. Now, I'm a smaller channel, so you have a high chance of winning. Very high chance. I think there's only 170 posts that have been in. Now, that sounds like a lot, but keep in mind, as a subscriber, you automatically already get 4. You get 4 entries. You have a chance of winning multiple times. That's where the fun is at. But anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.